Hey double majors, welcome back to my channel. What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppington? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brelynn. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Ring the bell that way you don't miss a notification from me, and follow me on my social media at brelynn.hunt. Welcome back to part 2. This one's gonna be a long one, I'm not gonna lie. If you didn't see part 1, I covered literally between years 2014 to 2023. Undergrad, my Spelman experience, my first graduate program, my medical assistant era, studying for the MCAT 3 times, and earning my second master's. Yes, that was all in part 1. But honestly, a lot of that was recap. Your pre-read for this video are my health equity fellowship vlogs, my research / Capitol Hill / social justice era. So in the last video, we left off with me deciding to attend Meharry Medical College to earn my second master's in health sciences as a part of their pre-matriculation program into their medical school. Again, on my channel, I have a first semester recap, a recap of my third attempt taking the MCAT, as well as an entire playlist of those graduate school vlogs, including my graduation from Meharry. After I graduated from Meharry, I took a little bit of a sabbatical, and this video basically picks up from there. At this point in time in life where I had the best gap year experience, I was living my best life with new friends in a new apartment, living my dream city, and at this point, I had just resubmitted my MCAT application from the Meharry cycle with new letters of recommendation, my new graduate degree, and my updated MCAT score. My application was submitted early, and I was ready to hear back from more schools, but especially Meharry, specifically because at the close of the last cycle, I did receive an interview from them, but I wasn't extended a seat into that medical school class. Afterwards, when I spoke to people in the program, they told me, there were just only but so many spots, you were one of the last people, but you will always be considered as an MHS student, so just be one of the first people to apply again next year. So while I did that, I went on to complete my first fellowship, and like I said, one of my favorite gap year experiences, working at the Center for Policy Analysis and Research, Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, as well as on Capitol Hill as a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation National Racial Equity Initiative for Social Justice Health Equity Research Fellow. I remember being really scared to first share that I was doing this fellowship because I knew that health policy sounded maybe very off track of pre-medicine. I did a lot of advocacy work with my women's health initiative, Birth Equity for All, advocating for systemic changes in infant and maternal health as a maternal health advocacy from the lens of an aspiring OBGYN about there being a change in this very real crisis. So I graduated from Meharry in May. I took my summer sabbatical. Like I mentioned, I moved apartments, but I was still living in DC, and then I started this fellowship in September. I am now a health equity researcher at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Amazing what God has done with my life. The way that He has mapped things out to where as soon as I understood how policy could impact the way that I'm able to make a difference as a maternal health advocate, this avenue opened up for me for this gap year. I also did a Get Ready With Me video for my first day of work where I explained more about the fellowship, why I decided to do research in this capacity, kind of more of what that role looks like. So for the first 6 months, I was doing that health equity research, and for the second 6 months, I was working on Capitol Hill as a senior health policy advisor. The year honestly went by super fast. There were so many things to keep me distracted, especially because this was the earliest that I had ever submitted my application. And I felt like all I had to do was wait for my interview, which I should be receiving earlier in the cycle, and I would be able to matriculate into medical school in the next year. I waited patiently, I kept the faith until I realized, wait, I may be delusional, and it could actually not be happening for me this year. It is February 18th or 19th. There have been crickets. 19th. President's Day. There have been crickets for months now, and for the first time, like I said, literally in months, I've gotten an email, and I've been freaking out all morning as to what this email is in reference to. Is it an interview invite? I calmed myself down while I was doing my devotional time, and I think that it's possible that it could be an interview invite, but also because of kind of like the holiday, it's possible that the email could just be saying like, we're out of office for the day, which is very rude, and I know it sounds so stupid, and I'm like all worked up. I'm literally like, I'm very worked up, but sometimes they be doing stupid stuff like that. Either way, we're gonna open this email, and then we're gonna talk about how I'm feeling at this point in time later. Okay, so it actually is an email. I saw that the title said spam, and then it said application update and recent achievement. What do you mean application update? Like, maybe this, like, shouldn't this mean that, oh my goodness. Okay, it's not bad news. It's not a denial. But I'm just freaking out, you guys, because it's February and I haven't received an interview yet. And even like around this time last year, I think it's like in exactly about a month, maybe a month and a half, like the end of March is when I received my denial letter. And so it's just kind of like every month, like in January, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the time where I took my MCAT. And then in February, like on the 14th, I was like, this is the time I got my MCAT scores back. And so now I'm at that place where I'm like, this time last year, I was very hopeful waiting for a medical school interview because I had just received my MCAT score and it was above the minimum score that you need to receive an interview at Howard. So I was like, perfect. That's the only school I want to go to anyway. I'm just going to wait for the interview invite. Knew that I was really, really late in the application process because I took the last possible date that they would accept for the MCAT, which was in January. But that was also the earliest date that I could take to be prepared to take it after my 6 weeks being at Meharry for the MHS program. So I was hoping that everything would just kind of align perfectly, and it didn't. I didn't end up getting an interview invite, and I was so confused because I had the MCAT score. I did everything that I could, reaching out to, previous students, previous people who were in the MHS program and also got accepted into Howard. I even went up to the admissions people and I basically just asked them, like, what do I need to get the interview? Because I don't understand why I didn't get it the first time. And they basically were saying that I probably applied too late last time to try again. Okay, so this time I tried again. My application was in early June, and so what's giving me a lot of anxiety and second thought and hesitancy is that this time last year when I applied at the latest possible time, my application technically wasn't complete until February 14th when I got my MCAT scores in, and at this time last year I was waiting for an interview. How am I now, February 19th, the next year, in the same position when I applied literally 9 months earlier than I did before? Like, I'm just so confused. So with that being said, I have sent 2 update letters to Howard as well as an additional letter of recommendation. I don't necessarily think that I have to have another letter of recommendation, but when you're just networking, you're talking to different people about your situation, they always want to say how can I help? Or they're offering I can write you a letter. Who knows which letter is going to do what? So this person who does serve on the admissions team for another medical school asked if she could write me a letter, so I accepted the offer. She did send it in. That was probably around the mid to end of January. 2 updates that I previously sent were telling them about my fellowship with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Actually, I think I've sent 3. Another one was telling them about my first publication with the fellowship, and then another one was telling them about my opportunity to speak at the SNMA Region 6 Medical Education Conference. I don't believe that I received a response from any of the other emails. I'm pretty sure I haven't, or else I would have known what this was. And so I guess I'm just receiving an update with them basically saying, thank you for your continued interest in Howard University College of Medicine. Your file has been updated with this information. Best wishes and Happy New Year. So that's the update for now. That's all I have. I was freaking out for nothing, but I guess this is better than nothing. I was hoping it was an interview, but it's not that, but it's also not a denial. So it's just this weird in between where the wait continues. Today is May 1st, and I'm trying to get ready to go to work, but I just keep crying because I still haven't heard anything from Howard, and I just don't think it's gonna happen this year again. And I didn't even get an interview, and I don't know why. And it's so frustrating because I've tried everything. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I've tried to hold out, but now it's May. I only have a couple of months left in my fellowship, and I have to start planning for what's going to be next. And I'm frustrated and I'm tired because I wanted what was next to be med school. I wanted what was next to be finally walking into the first steps of my destiny. And I believe that everything that I'm doing and all these gap years leading up are helping, but they're very, very tiresome. It's I have such a long way to go. I have all of medical school. I have all of residency. Now I don't even think that I can do a fellowship because of how late in my career I'll be. I'm trying to do family planning. It's so much, and I just just don't understand, like, why I'm not good enough. Like, why can some people get in with my scores or less and I can't? I thought that I had everything that I needed. I thought that I could do it. And I just don't understand why I'm not even being given the chance to try. So for my third time applying to medical schools, the application cycle closed with no interviews. I worked for the next couple of months and ended up finishing my fellowship, and then I began scrambling to figure out what to do. As you can tell by my video diaries, at this point I was dead set on attending Howard for medical school. Howard has always been my #1 choice. You all have heard me say it a million times. I'm DMV raised, I'm HBCU biased. I really relate to Howard Medical School's mission. I think I mentioned in previous videos, but during this time I literally lived across the street from Howard. So a few times in the year, I would go up to the school and try to talk to admissions, get on their good side, have them pull my application, like anything. Like, I was so desperate to do anything that I could to get into that medical school. It is Monday, June 26th. It's been like over a month since I've last been here, but a lot has happened. I'm so nervous. Like, it was just such a nerve-wracking experience because, like, I just knew that, like, I wasn't supposed to be doing it, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what I was gonna say. I didn't know how they were gonna react. Like, a lot of things were just out of my control, but I wanted to make sure that I at least gave it a try. So I came up here. It's Monday morning. I came here at least by like 10:20, 10:25 I was here. Because I was figuring, I'm like, they may not show up as early as like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Yeah, lunch at 12, and then, you know, they could leave early. Like, anything could happen. So I thought maybe 10:30 was a good time. Last time they just had me, like, I just signed in and the girl was just like, oh, go right in. She didn't even ask me where I was going. But then this time when I signed in, the security officer was like, oh, where are you going? And I told her admissions, and she said, who you're gonna go see? And there's 2 admissions directors, and literally, thank you God, because I ended up saying one admissions director. She's like, do you have an appointment? I said no. She said they're not taking walk-ins at the time, and she said, but I'll give her a call. She gave her a call. That admissions director wasn't there, so she just let me go ahead. It gave me as long to find the office this time because I actually knew where it was. And as soon as I, you know, walk into the office, the first person who was there, I introduce myself and I say, you know, can I speak to this admissions director, this admissions director? And she's like, oh, I'm this one. And that was the other one who I didn't say. So I was like, wow, if I would have said the other person, she probably would have called her and she would have told her we're not doing walk-ins. But then this time, yeah, so it's like, thank God, like, I kind of like slid through because I just happened to say the wrong name at the right time. I ended up talking to her. She, you know, asked for my MCAT. I have not submitted my MCAT application yet. Everything is done. The fee assistance is done. Letters of recommendations are in. The main question that I wanted to have, other than, you know, of course, what can I do to improve my application before I press submit, and also kind of like, really, like, why didn't I get an interview last year if I have the MCAT score? She was very, very nice and polite, and I feel so bad for her because I feel like I just like ambushed her at work. I don't know why they have her like desk right there in the front. She definitely gave me some things to think about, like some advice, and she did open up my application and look at it. It had like a really like professional statement that she's supposed to say, and she said it. She's like, well, what I can say is, like, instead of making Howard basically accept you, is like, just make yourself qualified for all the other medical schools. She gave me a couple of these things too, and like on this paper here, it shows you about how the class that just was accepted, there are 123 spots available, and it started off with 9,000 MCAT applications. So the acceptance rate is 2.1%, which is just crazy when you think about it. Like, it just, yeah. So, I mean, the goal is to get at least in this 394 interviews offered, and then that way, because once you get the interviews offered, the one to the acceptance offers, it's like, you know, I just need to get the interview. I understand that like Howard's MCAT is like basically lower than everybody else's, but she's like, I'm also not telling you to go out there and take the MCAT again. So I don't know, I just in general wanted to help them put a face to a name. She did say that she recognized my face. She was like, I think that you've been to some of the first Fridays. I'm like, yes, I have. I've done everything I can, sis. Well, she recognized my name, and now she really recognized my face. And again, she even just had a brief overview of my application, because she's kind of just saying like, yeah, you have a lot of clinical experience, come from a great foundation of HBCUs. Like, there's not much really she could say. And so she also validated me. It's like, there doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with you. Like, yes, it's possible that you just applied really late or later. The big question that I had was, if they do early decision, because I had a med student who goes to Howard tell me that I should apply early decision if I was like, you know, very set on Howard, but I didn't see that option in the MCAT application. So that was one of my really big questions. I wanted to make sure before I press submit. And she said that they don't have early decision at this time. So I'll just be applying regular decision. I get it, but like I said, I at least had to give it a try, because that's what people were telling me, to at least give it a try. So I did it, and with that, I will be submitting my application, and I will keep you guys updated when I get my secondaries. She also told me to definitely, like, you know, allow a lot of people to look over my secondaries, people who are in the field, which I will do. And yeah, just pray for the best. But I'll be praying over my application all day until I press submit, and then we'll wait for it to be verified, and then, like I said, for me to get the secondary application. So, but that's the update. After the shock of not receiving any interviews that year, and as I'm preparing to resubmit another MCAT application, I'm applying for jobs, I'm still working on Capitol Hill in the meantime, and I'm even moving apartments while going on job interviews. So I'm sitting here, I just finished some medical school applications, as well as this application for this really cool, like, Creatives for Social Change in Medicine virtual course in real time. I'm in my fun employment season, so I finished my fellowship in September. It's now November, and so through the month of September I was still working through like the middle of September. Then I went on vacation, then I moved, and so October was really just like the first month that I had this entire year of just rest. Obviously the fellowship was an amazing experience, and it was a year long. I knew it was going to end in September, but I was hoping that I would matriculate into medical school afterwards. In May, when I found out that I didn't get into any medical schools, I think the last time that I even like recorded anything like this, it was actually May 1st, and I remember being like, it's May. Like, it's May, like, who gets a medical school interview in May? And what kind of kept me going insane is that I had received a medical school interview from Meharry after May. Like, I think I received that interview in 2023 in like June. So I was like, you know what, it's not over till the fat lady sings. I was talking to the medical schools, and they were just like, if we haven't denied you yet, that you're still in consideration. So I was basically trying to keep my faith high and believe that it was still possible for me to matriculate into medical school, to the point where I wasn't looking for jobs post fellowship. On the last day of the application cycle, May 31st, I had heard back from all of 2 medical schools, and then both of them ended up giving me my rejection letters on the same day. First I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, like, oh, it's the last day of the cycle, because the next day the application cycle opened up, and I was just like slapped in the face and blindsided, because I didn't even, I mean, I kind of thought about, you know, what it would look like to apply again, but I didn't take any actionable steps, because I was like, I can't keep thinking about plan B, that I'm not putting any efforts into plan A. My app is out now. Secondaries are out now. Like, they're doing interviews now. If I put in the work, maybe I can get an interview and get accepted in this cycle. But like I said, it didn't end up happening. So I was kind of scrambling last minute as I was finishing my fellowship, still working full-time on Capitol Hill as a health policy staffer, redoing my entire application and like asking for a lot of help, because I'm like, is there something that I'm not seeing? Like, what's wrong with my application? Why am I not even getting interviews, let alone accepted? Redoing my essays, tripling that up, because I'm like, okay, I'm also going to apply to DO schools this next time around. I'm going to apply more broadly. I'm going to also apply to Texas schools, and all 3 of these different application services have different essays, different essay lengths. Not only am I redoing my application, I'm resubmitting it, I'm retyping in all my different classes and stuff. And I've taken so many classes, like now with 2 masters and my bachelor's, like, I don't even know, I think it's like it has to be over like 200 credit hours. So like, it would literally take me a week to go through and write out every single class that I've ever taken, the course number, the type of class that it is, and the grade that I received. And honestly, that was just already a super hard and dark and sad time. But then when I look at like my stats, I get even more sad, because I'm like, I'm never gonna get in, no matter how far I've come, no matter how hard I try, no matter how many times I try. It just seems like it just never works out for me. And then I get into this thing of like, why not me? Like, I've heard time and time again people with my stats and not my experience, or my experience and worse off stats, be able to get in. So I'm like, why not me? Anyway, I finally submitted my primary application specifically for MD school, so through the MCAT program. I think in like August, early-ish August, once I got back from my solo birthday vacation to Puerto Rico for my 28th birthday. For the month of October, honestly, I can't even tell you what I did in the month of October. I feel like it just went by so fast. I was resting, taking a lot of like days and time to myself. I was going on job interviews. I was, like I said, networking. Every day, my day was different. On some days, I would literally be in the bed all day because I would just be so sad. On other days, I would be going to the city, going to DC, meeting with people. Some days I would be doing, application stuff. Sometimes I would have meetings with people. Sometimes I'd be on job interview. Like, every day was something different. And so I do feel like I was, somewhat productive, but there's always more that I could have done in this application cycle. Here at the end of October, early November, my pastor is doing like this whole series on like demonology and kind of like spiritual warfare and the tactics that we need to really fight the enemy. During this time, I'm also starting to get rejection letters from the medical schools that I have applied to, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's October. Like, at least, I don't know what's worse, getting denied in the beginning of the application cycle when you've barely gotten started, or getting denied at the end of the application cycle and having your hopes up the entire time. I guess it's best to be denied in the beginning. That way you can already start planning for what you're going to do differently. And so really it just brought me to the place of, what else can I do differently for my application? I've already gone back to school twice. I've tried the networking thing. I've gotten amazing letter recommendations. I've done the publications, I've done the clinical experience. Like, at this point, I've done everything that I feel like I could do, and I keep waiting on somebody else to give me a chance, somebody else to come in and come through and just be helpful. And the only thing that I can do at this point is retake my MCAT. I know that my MCAT score is low. It's not too low for admission, but it is low. And I'm sure that it is keeping me from even being considered seriously by these medical schools. I wish it wasn't the case, because I've taken it 3 times and it's not a fun experience, but I've realized, and I think I'm going to do a podcast episode about this, so maybe you guys have already seen it, but I realized that this is spiritual warfare, because the enemy has me stuck in thinking that I'm not smart enough, and I'm blocking myself from my own future and my own destiny because I won't trust in the tools that God has given me and who He's designed me to be, which is a smart, intelligent person. I just realized that I literally have to go soon. I don't know how much time I thought I had, but I'm about to go see Wicked today, real time, so I gotta go. But I mentally decided that I was going to retake the MCAT. Last time I took the MCAT, it was a part of my Master's of Health Sciences program with Meharry Medical College. I had a 6-week period of time. I had to take it in January in order to be considered for admissions. They provided us with Kaplan, it was part of our tuition, but I used Kaplan. I did jump 6 points. I think I needed like 13 or so points in order for me to be eligible for admissions as like a part of their whatever. And so I did end up getting an interview, as you guys know, but I didn't end up getting accepted. And so thinking about what I was going to do differently this time to jump 10 points to get me to a comfortable score. So this time I'm trying to think, Lord, what can I use? What program can I do that won't overwhelm me, that won't make me feel isolated, but that will prepare me adequately for a jump in my score about 10 points. I'm still searching for that program. I'm leaning towards maybe Blueprint, but I still have to do my research on that. And I'm also thinking, knowing that I need to use UWorld because everybody's talking about practice problems. I did use UWorld a little bit last time. I didn't use it as consistently as I could have because Kaplan also has practice problems. It was a little bit easier in their calendar to kind of like keep up the practice problems with the material that you're learning. Like, y'all, I'm so overwhelmed, but I'm just trying to take it day by day and also learn from my previous mistakes. And so last time I felt like the thing that I really didn't enjoy was studying during the holidays, and so I'm giving myself this November and December time to do my research and figure it out. And the goal is to start studying in January, take the test in March, and then be able to hear my application for the next cycle, which is crazy to think about how, if successful, I would not be matriculating into medical school until I'm 30 years old. And it's not for a lack of trying, because I have literally been knowing that I wanted to be a doctor since I was 5 years old, and actively trying since graduating college in 2018. And now we're talking about matriculating in maybe 2026, 2027. It's just like, it's so disheartening. And so that's just what I've been kind of dealing with personally, like just trying to figure out what to do next. My application is still out there. Like I said, I'm doing secondaries even though it's November. After I did like my first round of applications, and then my first round of secondaries, and then my second round, I kind of like split it up. That way I had time in between to do my essays. And honestly, just some days I'm not as motivated to just sit down and do essays. I'm also like trying to edit videos and stuff, which YouTube is not as important as medical school, but it is like my only source of income right now. And you know, so I don't know, I still have a lot of decisions to make on what's going on in my mind here and now, because in a month I'm gonna know what I'm doing, and then in another month I'm gonna start studying. Lastly, like I mentioned, I was going on interviews in like September, October, and then I started thinking about taking the MCAT again. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stay unemployed. My rent is covered. I make money doing content creation, and so I'm just going to be unemployed. That way I can solely focus on studying for the exam in January, February, and March, because previously I was not personally able to manage studying for the MCAT full-time and working full-time, or studying for the MCAT part-time and working full-time. So since I currently am unemployed, and I can be unemployed without having a extreme strain on my financial situation, I was like, I'm gonna take this time to study for the test. Again, I'm not super excited about it, but it is kind of like good timing to do so. And then y'all, why did I get a job offer? I got a job offer to be basically like a manager of state policy at a national reproductive justice, Black reproductive justice, like nonprofit organization. It's very much so a continuation of the health policy work that I was doing. It's making good money, more money than I've made before. It is in DC, and now I'm living in Maryland, so the commute would be a lot every day. And honestly, I did not expect to receive the offer. When they called me to ask about my timeline, I was so shocked. I was like, I didn't even know I was still under consideration. I have just been thinking about trying to get my space together in my apartment in the month of November, and you know, enjoying the holidays in December. That way I would be set to go for MCAT studying in January. And then when I was redoing my application for the next cycle, I was going to start looking at, you know, other fellowships or maybe more jobs, and start applying then. You can see that I have just had so much going on in my mind, and I just don't exactly know what the next year for me is going to look like, what this next season is going to look like. I've been praying about it. I've been praying. I have a fleece out there currently, and so I will find my answer soon. But like I said, I just wanted to update you guys current time. I did end up asking the job if I could kind of like defer my start date until late March. That way I could study for the exam and know that I have a job. In my personal opinion right now, if they don't allow me to start in March, I think I'm just going to tell them that I don't want the job, because I think it's best for me to focus on what I want right now. I don't necessarily want that job. I do want to get into medical school, and I do want to put my best effort into studying for the exam. I know, again, how much it's going to be for me mentally. It's going to be exhausting, but I want to give it my all in order to get the best results, and I don't want to make the mistake of studying and working full time, especially in like this new career field. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how everything plays out, but I am praying about it. I'm trusting God. Like I said, I have my fleece out there. Whatever that I end up doing, I'll make that decision by the end of the year. So I have about a good month of uncertainty, and then the next season will be a grind season. That's what's currently going on in the life of future Dr. Brelynn. I'm just trying to figure it out and keep the faith along the way. So here you see the behind the scenes of me thinking about not accepting the job offer, resetting for the MCAT, and then applying to another application cycle, but really just being unsure of how everything would work out. This is really where my pre-medical journey started to get really sticky, because I felt like from here on forward, there were always multiple options and decisions to make, and I never knew which one would be the best option for me in my future. So at this point, the next update video that I uploaded was, okay, fine, I'll retake the MCAT. This was in early 2025. And I also included more details in my I'm Smarter Than This, Rejecting My Fear of the MCAT podcast, which was episode number 8 from season 2 of A Work in Progress, the podcast. If you did your pre-reading, you might remember that I chose to turn down a job offer and make what I felt was a necessary sacrifice for the sake of my medical career and to ensure that I didn't get too caught up in the health policy world. So I chose to study and retake the MCAT for the 4th time. And basically the rest of this video are going to be unseen MCAT diaries from my 4th attempt. Oh y'all, it's getting real. I just woke up, was checking my emails, and I got the email. My test date is open, and it's so surprising because literally I've only been able to get on the waiting list for one test date or one location for my ideal test date, and even the other test dates that I wasn't interested in, I tried to get on the wait list for them as well, and I also couldn't get on their wait list. So I literally was just leaving it up to God. I knew that if I just waited, then eventually the date would come up. Even though this is something that I want, I can't lie, it also makes me it also makes me really nervous, because now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna officially have an exam date. So I'm about to schedule and pay for my MCAT exam. I am aspiring to take my exam on March 21st, which is a Friday. It's the last test date in March, which is why I wanted to go for it. It feels like it's tomorrow. So you all know last time I took my MCAT exam, it was a part of my Master's of Health Sciences program with Meharry Medical College, and I had to take my exam in January in order to be considered for admissions to that specific pipeline program. And so I only had 6 weeks to take my exam. I felt like it wasn't enough time, but knowing that I couldn't push back that exam date or else I wasn't going to get accepted, but then ultimately kind of just needing a little bit more time to study because I didn't end up getting accepted anyway because I didn't get the score. It feels different because the last time before that I pushed back my exam, I think 3 or 4 times, or at least I moved it. I think one time I ended up moving it forward because I was like, I just want to be done, and then I was like, okay girl, you tripping, and then I moved it back. But I don't know, it's something so strange about having a test date, knowing that you have to take it on a certain day and knowing that you can change it at any time if you want to, if you don't feel ready, versus not being able to change it. And this time I technically could change it if I don't feel ready, but I really don't want to change my date. But I feel like it's one of those things where you're always going to be nervous and you'll quote unquote never feel ready. Okay, if you don't know, the MCAT exam costs $345. I do have the fee assistance program, so you get a discount on my MCAT, and that is $205. So I will pay $140 today to schedule my exam. I'm so nervous. My appointment is no longer available. Somebody got it before me. All of this for nothing? Why would it even let me put in my information? Okay, well, maybe I'm not getting my exam test date today. I've been studying for the MCAT for exactly 3 weeks, and I just took my first full-length practice exam, or technically my diagnostic. It was the MCAT official prep practice exam 1, and I'm very disappointed because I scored lower than my first 2 official MCAT exams. What I'm nervous about is that I'm now 2 knocks down. Last time I studied for the MCAT, I was in the middle of my master's program. I was taking classes that was testing me on this stuff. I also was constantly studying, constantly underneath testing conditions. That just makes me really sad. My anxiety, like I'll be forgetting I have test anxiety, and I really don't try and speak that over my life, but sometimes I struggle with anxiety when it comes to standardized tests because I know how much this impacts my future and all the things. And so my heart was beating fast, my hand was shaking and sweating, and it's like I was feeling nauseous, and I couldn't decide on like, is it something that I ate, or is it the fact that I'm taking this test? And my physiological body cannot decide, is this the real thing or is this just a practice exam? It doesn't know. It just knows that you're really, really nervous. And even though I'm in my mind, I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Like, it's just like, it's okay. I still couldn't help how nervous I got. A lot of the stuff I would look at and I would be like, oh, that looks familiar, but I don't actually know the answer. I don't actually know how to go about answering this question. Again, I haven't been engulfed in this, so like having to do the questions quickly, let alone having to do the 9 passages or 10, I can't even remember how much it is. That's how far removed I am back to back to back. Like, oh crap. I just booked my MCAT. This is like, okay, whoa, oh no, okay. This is like the 3rd email that I've gotten in the past couple of days. I was kind of afraid to book a date because today is February 23rd, 7:06 p.m. It's a Sunday, and I just booked my 4th MCAT exam, hoping for a test date in April, and a lot of them weren't coming available. The 2 dates that are available, like kind of at the end of April, are I think like the 25th and the 26th, and then the weekend after that is May 3rd. So I went ahead, once I kind of figured that I would probably take it at the end of April to give myself an extra month after like the original date that I had in my mind, which was March 21st. The dates for March and April, I was on the waiting list for the waiting list. May 3rd. May 3rd is the day, test date that's far in advance enough to where I don't feel afraid or anxious or pressured, but still gets me in a good timeline to have my score back right when it's time to submit my application. As long as I have my score back by the time it's time for me to submit my medical school application, still on a good timeline. And also the fellowships that I am applying to, just in general looking at, they're all starting in the summer, so I still have time. That gives me, I think, exactly 2 months from this weekend, literally halfway between when I started, so that's a good thing. It just got real, y'all. Ah! I'm doing it. Just finished my 2nd full length, and sorry, I'm screwing you guys. I literally wasn't sure if it was going to show me the score right away. So 10 points higher than last time. Please stop playing with me. And when I tell you, wow, that's the highest I've ever scored on a practice, I think. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. Thank you, God. Maybe I can do this. Oh my God. So I still have 8 more weeks. I was pretty anxious during biochem and psych soc. Like, I really had to breathe deep. My highest section almost being biochem. Please don't play. Also did do a vision sheet, and I still need to work on, like, you guys can't see, but I still need to work on like what I'm gonna include on my equation sheet. And I didn't feel like I used a lot of this stuff. Like, some things, realistically, we got 10 weeks, so like maybe we could really move to that 507. A great improvement, 10 points improvement, which is again 3 points greater than where I was when I took it officially. Oh, thank God. I don't have to have a big dark cloud over me this whole weekend. 3 weeks. It's like right before I go to Jamaica, so I'll see you guys in about a month's time when I take another practice exam. Okay, it's March 14th, 2025. Very nervous to look at this score because I don't feel good about this one. Don't feel like I've been as like hardworking or consistent the past couple of weeks. I planned on studying for about 8 to 10 weeks, and I think altogether I'm going to be studying for about yeah, about like 4.5 months, which is like much longer than expected, to like have no rest days and just to be going up from sun up to sundown. And so I'm just getting a little bit like tired, and that's why community is really important during this time as well, because it's also like very isolating. I feel like I can hear the haters in my mind saying like, oh, this is what it's going to be like when you go to medical school. The difference is that like you don't have to study alone in medical school. Like, you're going to classes, you have professors, you have peers. This season, I'm just like studying day in and day out, like by myself, alone. Anyway, with all that being said, I feel like I've taken, you know, a day or two off. Like last week, I took 2 days off. One was a mental health day. One was a day where I was speaking on Capitol Hill. These have been a little bit shorter sometimes because of like my mom's birthday party, or I don't know. I have not been doing Anki like how I should have been doing. Like, I've been getting through my modules, but I have not been doing my Anki. So I feel like I maybe have seen the information, but I haven't done the spaced repetition for it to really be in my mind. I just did not feel good like during any of the sections. When I think like last time, first of all, I also didn't get a good night's sleep last night. I'm trying to think what I did last time that allowed my mind to be so silent and at peace. Like, I did my devotion, I prayed. I definitely texted a little bit before I turned my phone off. And maybe I shouldn't do that at all. Like, no communication, no thoughts the night before, like nothing. Like, I need to like nothing, because my mind was just going in so many different directions, and it was really hard for me to stay focused this time. Forgot my lip balm during one of the sections, and that wasn't good because my lips were dry the whole time. I had oatmeal and I had to use the bathroom twice. I feel like that oatmeal has fiber in it or something. I have to stop eating that, but that's like the quickest thing for me to do when I don't have my breakfast meal prepped. Oh, okay. Yikes. Okay, this is not good. Makes like last exam feel like a fluke, but I can tell the difference from like when I feel good taking an exam versus when I don't feel good taking an exam. I'm not that behind this week, but like I said, it's been very difficult to try and get through every single one of my modules every day. Like, I can literally be grinding, like trying my hardest not to take any breaks, and like I'll have one module left at the end of the day, and I'm okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And then the next day, like, I'll do that one, and then all the ones, and I'll have 2 left. And it keeps going like that, to where I think I have like 4 modules due for this week. At the end of the day, I'm just not happy with the score. I'm not happy with how this went. I'm so shocked about my CARS score. I didn't feel bad about CARS like that. But in order to kind of help my future self not feel overwhelmed with the amount of sections that I have to review, maybe I'll review the CARS section. And if I feel like it, maybe the Psych-So section. And that way tomorrow I'll just have the 2 sections to finish. And maybe I can finish 2 sections in one day, and then I'll be on schedule for next week. I don't know. I'm not like as defeated. I think it's just because like I just didn't feel good while taking it. So I like self-fulfilling prophecy. I kind of knew that I wasn't going to do well. Of course, I hoped that I was going to, but I would have been shocked if I did, because I didn't feel good and I didn't know a lot of that information. I don't know. To see a drop like this after just 2 weeks is disappointing. So quick pause to talk about how in the middle of me studying for the MCAT, as I mentioned, I was applying and interviewing for fellowship positions for my transition year after I would take the MCAT before matriculating into medical school the next summer. During this time, another post-bac program came across my spirit. I know what you guys are thinking, Brelynn, another program. I thought the same thing. I literally was like, I cannot do another program. People are gonna think that I'm crazy. But there were a lot of things about this program that were different. It was a pre-matriculation program, so again, it had that direct linkage to a medical school. It was for minorities, which I think is super helpful because it's designed specifically for students like me. Also, and most importantly, this program does have an MCAT requirement, but at the time, my current score reached that minimum. Fourth, and most importantly, the program was free. That normally got a lot of people. Yes, they actually give you a stipend for this program. Now look, I know, I just talked about beware of the glamorous gap year. At this point, I've done 2 graduate programs with the hopes that they would help me get into medical school, and both of them fell short. Why would I do a 3rd program? Well, Hopefully, I had learned from my mistakes. This program wasn't going to be as glamorous. It wasn't about getting a master's degree. It was about a short, grinding period where I could prove myself and be accepted into a really great medical program. This program is based in Chicago. It is in person, but it's only 5 months. So for 5 months, you move to Chicago, you live in a dorm, and you're taking 3 classes that the first year medical students are taking. I don't remember at this time, but it was something along the lines of molecular biology and biochemistry and classes like that. I'd heard about this program before, and I considered applying when I was working on Capitol Hill, and then almost a year later, the program came to my remembrance again. And then literally, it was either 2 or 3 separate double majors DM'd me, asking me specifically like, hey, have you heard of this program? You should apply. And not just like, hey, I found this program, you should apply, which I would have greatly appreciated as well. But 2 of these reach outs were people who had previously done the program. One of the double majors was a PG County native. She was like, hey girl, I just finished this program. I know you, I know your story. You should do this program. It'll help you get into medical school because I just got in. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, girl, you kind of convinced me. And you know my motto, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I thought it would be better to get accepted and have the choice. So yeah, I decided to apply to another post-bac program. It is April 9th, 2025. I just want to go on record to say that I was sitting here studying for the MCAT. There was an information session, pre-matriculation program. I went to the information session last year. I literally remember being like working on Capitol Hill and like having my double screens and going to the meeting, and like seeing that it was a good program, but just feeling like I can't do another program. Like another program sounds crazy. And I remember thinking that I would apply to it if I didn't win Miss DC. And after Miss DC, I kind of like went into a black hole. And so I didn't come up to breathe until the application was already due. I had a few double majors reach out to me to tell me and recommend this program. And because I had already known about it, I was even more interested, especially because with me restudying for the MCAT and then having to reapply to medical school, and with me already taking the chance of not accepting the job offer that I had in late November, I could matriculate into this program without, I wouldn't say without any major adjustments, but when the program came back up this time, I was more willing to listen since I was already going to be applying to medical school again. So when I attended the information session, I heard some of the similar things that I heard last time. The women who are in charge of the directors of the program are like really nice and welcoming. They're very open, but also they mentioned that there were only 5 more spots left in the program because they had been doing something different for recruitment this year. I definitely have been thinking about the program for about a month or a month and a half, but I decided to hold off on applying because I've just been praying about it and just kind of taking my time because I knew I had until June. When I realized that actually the application was due June 1st, not June 30th, I realized like, oh, I really only have like a month and a half. And also you don't want to wait until the end because it's rolling admissions and there's actually only 16 spots in the class size. So knowing that there's only 5 spots left, and of course I can choose not to accept it once I apply, but I just decided basically to apply today. So this is my documentation for my road to medicine, just to say that today, April 9th, I'm sitting here studying for my MCAT, but I also just submitted my application for pre-matriculation program. The program is set to start the 2nd week of August, and I would have to move to Chicago and live in a dorm for 5 months. I would take basically 3 classes, and I would not need a better MCAT score than what I already have. So the pros to this program is that if I'm accepted, it will take the weight off of having to perform well on the MCAT, which I'm scheduled to take in less than a month. The cons are that I won't be able to start a fellowship or a job after I finish studying and taking the exam, and I would have to move to Chicago for a period of time. And if I put all my eggs in the Chicago basket, like how I did for the Meharry program, except for this time I will have to pick up my life and move, and if I'm accepted, I will have to move to Chicago. The pros are that they do have a really great like diversity, equity, and inclusion program. So I know some people in Chicago. I did work for the representative of Illinois City. It's not the middle of nowhere. It is the Midwest and it is cold, but it is an allopathic medical school, so it is an MD medical school. Their match rates are pretty good. Their step 1 pass rates are pretty good, and it is an MD program. So we'll see if that's where the Lord wants me, both for the matriculation program and for medical school. I am interested to see what the next part of this journey looks like. But for now, I just applied for the PMP program. Until then, we will continue studying for the MCAT. It's April 17th. Immediate thoughts before I see my score. I feel like my anxiety was pretty calm throughout this entire thing. I feel like this is probably the best I felt for a Chem Phys section. This exam just makes me want to really focus on my Anki cards because I feel like I've seen a lot of this information, but I wasn't sure about a lot of it. As of right now, I'm wanting to move back my test date. I'm scheduled to take it May 3rd, and that May 3rd came by quick. It came by really, really fast. I feel like after the last time I took a practice exam and it was low, I didn't want to immediately take another one. I didn't have another one on my schedule as well because I had a lot of like scheduling things with my mom's birthday and then going out of town and then a couple of mental health days, and I just kind of got behind. And even though I was studying, I wasn't like going as hard. I also kind of burnt out a little bit. So like I said, this is my first practice exam in a long time, and I think a month out before the exam I want to be taking like one a week and definitely like be at my goal score around there or something, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. No, so shocked by that. I thought I did better. This is not good. So one, I definitely need to push back my exam because I can't take it with this. I still need to go back to the basics for this Chem Phys because stuff is not working out. Like I only have a couple more hours before I really have to go to sleep. So I should really do some of this tonight. But I also want to give myself a brain break because I just took a whole full length, you know? Okay. It's April 23rd. And I didn't realize that it was 10 days until my May 3rd exam date, which means if I don't change my date now, I can't move my date. Know that I wanted to push my date back, especially after the last time I took my practice exam and it wasn't good. I was like, well, I'm not ready to take it. But I've been on the waiting list and I just wanted one of the dates to open up. That way I knew, like, okay, instead of taking it on the 3rd, I'm gonna take it on the 23rd, or instead of taking it on the 3rd, I'm gonna take it on the 31st. And so I've been waiting for a date to open up for me to shift my date. And I'm like, if none of the dates in May are available, other than the one that I have, and I'm not ready for the date that I have, what do I do? I guess I can look out and schedule one in June, and then I'll get too comfortable. And then if a May date opens up, a late May date, I'll have in my mind, oh, I'm scheduled for June, and then I won't push myself to be ready by a date, because like the dates will come by 10 days before, 2 weeks before. Okay, even though I'm scheduled for June 27th, I'm really trying to take it May 23rd. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm freaking out because I'm like, I have to change my date. I have to reschedule it today or I won't be able to schedule it because I can't do it later than 10 days. And I'm so grateful that I just decided to put it on my to-do list and get it done today, because it's Wednesday. I've literally been thinking of this like all week, since like last week. And I'm just like, I didn't even realize that today was the 10 days. I'm freaking out. You can hear my voice. Like, I'm so anxious. I'm like, so there's a date open. The earliest, latest date open is June 27th. So it's like, if I get too comfortable, because like May 3rd was a late date for me, but I was like, I'll definitely be ready by May. And now I'm pushing it back. And I really don't want to push it back too much because I want my life back. I want my freedom. I want to, but I want to be ready. I'm hoping that 1 month I'll be ready, but I don't want to give myself 2 months because then I'm going to get burnt out. I'm going to get weary. It's like, it's going to be the summertime. Like, my application will be so much later. Like, I'm try not to freak out. But it's like I have to move it. So I have to move it to that date and just try and keep my mind focused on you need to take it before the end of May. And no matter what, believe, the word of the year is believe that a test date will open. And so I have to prepare like I'm gonna take it by the end of May, even though my date is June. And even if the day before an exam date opens up, I have to be ready to take it on that day. No problem. Okay, May 1st, 11:59 a.m. I just got off of a Zoom call with the fellowship that I was most excited about, and I got an email yesterday saying that I was a finalist and that there was, you know, some changes and things because it's through GW, through the Office of Minority Health. They're trying to like figure out stuff, and there's like things that are moving and shaking in the fellowship, and so they sent an email saying like, hey, you're a finalist, we're gonna have this thing called like a listening session, which I didn't know what that was, but it basically was a call saying like, you know, there's a lot of things that are going on right now, and it's probably better just to say the things out loud to you all here in a conversation versus it being in an email, because it could be kind of confusing. So it turns out I actually do have the fellowship. If I want it, I have it, which is amazing. And it's great because it's like I have something lined up for after the MCAT. The program was supposed to start in July, and now they pushed it back and it's going to start in October. So instead of being a 12-month fellowship, it's going to be a 9-month fellowship. You can work in a government office. Specifically, one of the offices that I really, really want to work in is the Office of the U.S. Surgeon General. They have positions like that available, and like where else can you get an internship at the U.S. Surgeon General? Like, and specifically like with my career goals, like that's something that I really think is super special. The director of the program who was on the call, like she's a family medicine physician and she's a professor at GW. May 1st, so the medical school application just opened up. Want to go to medical school here in the DMV? I am open to my options, but you know, and I've applied to GW multiple times. Even when I did my interview, they talked about how, you know, they do interviews at the end of the fellowship to help people transition, and how I could use that to do like medical school mock interviews and things. And so I just think that it's a really good, I would have a better chance of getting into a school like GW if I did this program. Now that it's confirmed, not completely confirmed, but it's semi-confirmed that I'll be moving out of this apartment, which I'm so sad about because I love this apartment. I love it. It's so spacious and so nice, but I'll be able to save money and be closer to my family. And I mean, technically, I won't have more space, but I'll have kind of more space. That should happen around July. And my lease here will be up in August, and then that program will start in October. We're pushing it back to make sure that basically our program doesn't get canceled because Trump is going buck wild. And he could go buck wild once you guys are in the middle of the fellowship and the whole thing gets canceled. But they've literally changed the name of the program, website, and they've tried to like stay out of the way so that the program doesn't get canceled. But instead of it being 12 months, it'll be 9 months. Basically, like they'll get their funding in September, and so it'll be more sure that the program won't get canceled by the time that the program starts. In June, the fellowship ends, and so by that point, I should have a medical school acceptance and I can transition in. That requires for my MCAT score competitive enough for me to get an interview and get accepted. The other option is pre-matriculation program application or verify. I've been waiting this whole time. Like, if I do that program, then it's less pressure on this MCAT, which is stressing me out right now because I haven't been able to score well on my practice exams. I've rescheduled my exam. It was supposed to be this Saturday and today's Thursday, and I was like, I am not ready. Now I'm rescheduled for May 31st or May 30th. I think this is the 31st, the last day of May. And a lot can happen in 30 days, so I'm not trying to count myself out, but I'm also burnt out because I've been studying literally since January, and I'm so tired. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna pull it from. Like, I need a divine reserve to pull this from and push it through, because I would love to be able to take my test at the end of May and have such a great score that I can just do the GW program and stay here the whole time and like have a fellowship and have this, like, that would be great. But I won't know what my score is for another 2 months. There's only so many spots in both these programs. There are 16 spots, I believe, and she said there were 5 more left. If I get one of those spots, I'll move to Chicago. I'll be there for 5 months, and then I'll come back in December, prayerfully, with the medical school interview in my pocket, at least one, preferably more. Okay, God, like, whatever you want me to do, like, because I've been freaking out because my application has been in time, and I'm like, maybe I won't, you know, get it because it'll be so late. I would love to be able to get it on my own, but I'm not sure if I can, and I can't waste another year. I was already freaking out about the home thing because I didn't know. I was like, I can't live here and move to Chicago, but now the townhome thing has opened up, and I'm sad to say goodbye to this apartment, but it was either this or put my things in storage and live in my mama's house. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad I have the townhome. Only thing is I just have to pray that my brother's gonna be moved out in time. But I think he will be because he has a baby on the way, so it's like lock in. That's my thought process of all the decisions that are going on. That time, it's May 2nd, about 4:30. Just finished Kaplan full length number 3. I'm officially less than 30 days out. I was supposed to be taking my exam tomorrow, but I changed my exam date. I pushed it back 30 days or so, 27 days or whatever. So I'm very curious to see how these results are, if I have improved or not. I've still been feeling like really burnt out and tired, and I didn't do a lot of Anki, and I feel like the Chem Phys section was pretty difficult. I feel like the car section was really difficult. I had a really hard time focusing, and the last 2 passages I didn't finish. My average is lower than it was the last time I took the exam, and I don't know what I was previously doing. What did I do last time where I only had 6 weeks, improved my score, trying different methods? But I mean, at this point I've been studying for weeks, so it's months. It's like I shouldn't be trying new methods now, and I also shouldn't be running out of time. Okay, let's just see what the score is and get it over with. I just need to have a positive attitude. I'm going to take a little bit of a mental break, and then I'm going to review the cars and the psych-soc passage tonight before I eat dinner, and then I can have the day off because I need to be able to get the review done by Saturday so I can start studying again on Monday. Like, I feel like, yeah, so, okay. I got the same thing. Did I get the same score? This doesn't make any sense. Why can't I improve my score? I thought I did better in psych-soc. I guess I did improve in Chem Phys time, so I'm 1 point. 1 point. Everything else stayed the same, but I went down in bio. I don't want to take this exam and get lower than what I got last time. Wait, I don't think I updated you all. I got an interview for the PMP program. I'm really happy and excited because I was waiting for an interview for not a long time, but I was getting really anxious because it was taking me a minute for me to complete my application. I was sitting here when I did the information notes. I went to the information session. She said they have 5 spots left. I said, let me get on my Zoom and submit my application, and I was waiting on my transcripts to be accepted and then my letters of recommendation. The day after it was verified, I got the interview invite, so it did have to be verified first, which I didn't know. I emailed them right before my application got verified, and I was like, is my application just sitting there? Like, have y'all seen it? Are y'all gonna extend an invite or what? Just because I was nervous that there wasn't gonna be enough spots left. So I'm very happy to have one. And I just sat down and scheduled it. So it's going to be for Thursday, May 15th at 3 p.m. It looks like they have it every Thursday, one at 9 and one at 3, like 9, 9:30, 3, 3:30. Maybe I should do the one next week. That way I for sure am like one of the earlier people to do an interview. But I'm thinking about taking out these braids next Thursday, so my hair won't be done. And I feel like next Thursday I'll be better prepared for my interview. I also need to prepare. Like, this is a really important interview, and although I normally do well for interviews, I don't get every interview that I do, so I want to be really well prepared. So I think taking a week should be good. So I also need to balance that as I am studying for the MCAT. I will not lie. When I was taking my practice exam yesterday, I kept thinking, if I do the Chicago program, this MCAT won't even matter. I may not even need to do this. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it matters or not. It is May 12th. Today I have my PMP interview. I don't think I told you all, but I originally scheduled this interview for this upcoming Thursday because I had already gotten a calendar invite when my, you know what, this is good. I need to wake up. I have been chilling all day. I have been cramping, and so I've just been like in deep rest mode, and I don't think I've actually woken my brain up. So I'm glad that I'm talking to the camera for a little bit because I need to talk and warm up because I'm about to do this interview. Whoa, where are my words at? I'm being like very wake up, wake up, wake up. You got an important interview in 6 minutes. I'm getting a Google Calendar change, so it was like, instead of doing it on Thursday, it was on Monday, and then just in like the description of it, it was just like Dr. So-and-so is going to reach out to you about this, and I ended up getting an email from her, and she basically said that on Tuesday of that week, which was like the next week coming up, my interview was supposed to be on Thursday, and she was like, on Tuesday the admissions board is meeting. I would love for your application to be included in that, and so if you have availability, can we move to Monday? I'm really nervous right now, and I'm so grateful that she gave me that opportunity to move it up because I was definitely available. I just didn't want to do it the earlier Thursday, but like I said, I was definitely nervous about having too late of an interview time. Not too late because literally God's timing, but you know, it was something that did cross my mind. So I was grateful that she gave me the opportunity to move mine up. So in theory, the board is going to meet tomorrow, and so I'm also assuming that in theory I'll hear back a little bit sooner because I'll be one of the last interviews before this particular admissions board team meets. So yeah, today's the interview. Like I said, I'm nervous. I really don't know what to expect for this interview. I don't know if it's going to be like really heavy, like pre-medical school type vibes, because I've had some really hard interviews before, and I've had some interviews that are a lot more personal. I feel like because it's a smaller cohort and it's, you know, for diversity students, and I know that this person who I'm going to have the meeting with, the director of the program, if I were to get into the program and then do well, she would be the one to pitch me later on, or even tomorrow she'll be the one to pitch me to the admissions board. So I also am assuming that it's going to be a little bit more of a personal interview, a little bit more of my background and my story and things like that. Nervous, but I think that either way I should be prepared. I interviewed a couple of weeks ago for a fellowship, but I feel like interviewing for jobs and pageants and fellowships are even different than like medical school, but then different from this. So I didn't really know exactly what to expect, but I didn't want to over prepare because I wanted to still come off like genuine and authentic. And I'm like, I know myself, I know my story. So yeah, put the camera down, pray a little bit. I said, I really believe that whatever happens, happens for a reason. Can't believe that I'm doing this again. I was just thinking, like, by this time a couple of years ago, I was thinking about doing a very similar program. It was in the works, and to think that like I stepped away from that opportunity, and even just like a couple of months ago I had a job opportunity and I stepped away from that, and like this fellowship is now on the table and I'm thinking about stepping away from that. And so I'm just really trying to be obedient and listen to God to where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be there, and how everything's going to work together for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. But it's nerve-wracking because I still want to do my best and at least have it as an option. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys after the interview. Okay, it's over. Let's see. It's like less than 30 minutes, which I feel like is a bit of a quick interview. I'm so nervous. Okay, so I'm mainly nervous because she said that this is going to be like their last interview. I should have done this earlier, but it's okay. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Don't know. I don't feel like that was a really good interview because the questions were very like kind of need-based questions. The program is all about minority students who need help getting in, but there's a lot of different reasons why. Like, you know, some of it is like academic, but a lot of it is also like financial and just like different setbacks and things. So all of the questions were very like what are your different setbacks that you have. I usually don't like to bring up those parts during my application, or, you know, it's kind of, I think it's easier to talk about yourself when you're hyping yourself up than it is to talk about yourself and kind of talk about the struggles that you've had without circling it back around and saying, like, hyping yourself back up. And so there are a few things that I'm like, okay, you know, I know that I've written about these before, and like disadvantage essays and things like that I have to think about, but I've actually really have never talked about them in interviews because it's usually not something that people focus on. But in this program, it was something that she focused on. So she was very nice and very kind. It was definitely a little bit more casual, and it definitely also seemed like it was less conversational. Like, she had specific questions that she asked, and she also had like the AI thing going at the same time. So she was like writing out my responses. And so it feels like it's going to be very much so like word for word, bar for bar. And I almost wish that like I could have written out my answers and like given it to her, or like known the answers ahead of time and then like prepared them, because I think it's just a matter of like who's gonna have kind of the best answers, not necessarily, because if you got to the point where like if everybody gets interviewed, like I'm not really sure like who is going to be a better applicant. All your questions are kind of the same. I thought maybe it would go more along like the like who has the best vibe, but it could just be like who needs it more. I would say that I need it because like, I mean, she did say in the beginning when she was looking over my thing, she was like, you know, you definitely are like the perfect candidate for this. But every time you take the MCAT, you've had significant jumps, which is great, because she saw the MCAT books behind me. And I'm like, you know, yeah, I'm studying now. So like, you know, I'm taking the test. But you know what she said? She said, you will know if you got accepted before you take your test. I said, oh, okay. And she said that if I get accepted, she'll give me a call. She's like, hopefully I can give you a call tomorrow, because I like to give calls with good news. And she said, and if you don't hear from me, that means that you'll probably get an email, which will be a rejection. And I'm like, okay. Oh, I'm nervous because I don't feel like I answered the questions that great, because I was just thinking on the top of my feet. And, you know, I've gone through a lot of hardships, but like my best answers are ones that I have thought of before. So it's just a matter of me articulating it here and now for this particular question. At times I'm like, oh, I really haven't thought of these questions, and I'm really not being like concise with it. I'm kind of being very long-winded, and I'm like, Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and there wasn't like a lot of keying going back and forth. I really couldn't tell if she was like, "But like that's a good answer," or like, "Thank you for sharing," or like, I don't know. You're one of our last people who are applying. He said that there are 5 spots left, and that there are going to be 5 people on the waiting list, which means that there are 10 of us, which means half of us will not get it, which is not good numbers. Like, oh my gosh. And that's what I'm saying, like timing wise. I'm like, oh my gosh, like nobody wants to be on the waiting list. Now, granted, I've been on the waiting list before and have been accepted, so it's very possible it could happen. I do have the fellowship, so it's like, if I don't get it, it's not like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I'll take the exam, and hopefully the score will be good enough to where my medical school application can stand for it. So it's like just so much going on in my mind where it's just like, this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen, this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen, this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen, and this can happen. Like, it's so many things, and I'm like, God, what are you doing? Like, what is it going to be? I would at least like the opportunity to do the Chicago program, that even if I don't go into the medical school, I at least have one medical school acceptance in my pocket. And I think that's what I really, really want right now. It's like, I want that option. I knew that there weren't that many spots left, but I know that I have a 50% chance. Like, what's gonna make me stand out from another really great candidate, you know? I don't know. I tried my best. I gave it a shot. Like I said, I keep saying this because I really, really like have to believe this in this season. Like, if it's meant to be, it will be. If I'm supposed to be in Chicago, then it'll work out for me. Everything else is kind of worked up until this point. With the townhome, like not taking the job that I originally thought I was going to be taking. If it's supposed to happen, it will happen. And if it's not supposed to happen, then I have other things in place and we will figure it out. But I would love to know when I'm taking my MCAT that this MCAT doesn't even matter, because I'm going to school in a couple of weeks, you know. And unfortunately, I did not receive a call that day. Normally during this time when I was sitting for the MCAT, my phone would be on do not disturb all day. So I remember specifically turning my study focus mode off. That way I could get a call from a random number telling me that I got accepted into that program. And I remember knowing around the time too that she was gonna call. Their meeting was gonna start at 11, so by 12, everything would be done. So I could expect a call by 1, and that was Central Time. So I think like around 2, I was expecting a call. And I remember at 2:30 receiving an email and just being like, no, another rejection. And this rejection hit worse out of all of them. Although I've been rejected to post-bac programs before, I think there's something very humbling about I already have done a master's. I've already done 2 post-bac programs. I've applied multiple times. I'm literally in the middle of studying to retake the MCAT. Like, I'm willing to do anything. And Lord, if you would just open up this door. I was afraid to do it, but I also was willing to humble myself because I felt like this is probably the way that God is going to do it. This is probably the way that he's going to open the door. This feels like the only way that makes sense for me to get into medical school. And then I didn't get it. I wasn't accepted. The door closed. At that point, I was so devastated, and I understood that the numbers weren't great. I only had a 50% chance of making it in. That year in particular, they had done some outreach and got more applicants than they ever had before. And because it was a grant program where they paid the students, they could only have 16 students in each cohort. And because I was literally the last person to interview, again, it felt like deja vu. The same thing happened with the Meharry program. Being one of the last people to interview, it unfortunately left me as one of the people not accepted into the program. Okay, here we go. It is May something. I think it's like the 20th or so. And we just finished AAMC full length number 3. I feel good about it. Let's see what the score is. Oh. Yay! Yay! A 128 in Psych Social. Yay! Why? And when I tell you, I thought that I was eating Kim Fizz down. I thought that I was slaying Kim Fizz. I was like, yeah, I feel like this is the most comfortable I feel for Kim Fizz. Like, this is the highest score I think I've ever scored on a practice exam. Now, my exam is in a week and a half, but I'm not rescheduling it. I'm done. I'm so tired of studying. Like, I've had a very tumultuous, I love that word, but I don't know how to say it. Been a roller coaster. It's a couple of months, even more so the last couple of weeks, and I'm just so done. And I hope I don't regret this later on. I don't want to be like, oh, I was so rushing to be done, and like if it just would have taken me a couple more weeks. But I really feel like it would be best for my mental health to take the exam. I feel like it'll be better for my medical school application. If I push it back into June, I won't be able to really study as much as I need to because I'm just tired. Because I'd be like skipping years. I'm like, is this my 4th or my 5th medical school application? I think it's my 5th med school application, which sounds crazy, but I do feel like a couple of years I was just like copy, paste, send. I think I'm not even realizing how many times it's been, but I think this is 5, which is crazy. I think that I would know like how the primary application works, and I do, but I'm never too proud to like learn more information, especially because things are going to be different for me this year because I have to wait for my MCAT score. Submitted on June 1st. I take my exam the 31st of May. As soon as I'm done taking my test, I'm going to start like getting my application ready. I don't think it'll take that long because again, everything is basically done. I just need to go and like change all the wordings of everything, but I also want to send that to my Spelman advisor for her to look over it. Once she does that though, I'm gonna send it out for verification. While it's being verified, I am waiting for my MCAT score. When I get my MCAT score, then I'm gonna send that to her. That will determine whether or not I get committee packet from Spelman. And so then that will send off my letters of recommendations, and then I'll also have my MCAT score, and then I'll send that off, and then my application will be totally complete. And so we're talking about like early August, and that's like if I like stay on it, you know. I really need to get my ducks in a row if I'm gonna do the Texas medical school and the DO medical schools at the same time, which I haven't decided yet. I feel like I just need to get my stuff together, and then I can decide when I get my score. I really think if I would have done what I needed to do on Chem Phys, I would have had an even better score. I'm not mad at this. At least I'm going up. Like if I could just do this on test day, like I would be happy. Lord, please, like if nothing else, just at least do this for me. I'm gonna take another practice exam on Saturday. Today's Tuesday, so I'll see you guys in a couple of days. I actually ended up reaching out to the director of the program to get some feedback, just to make sure there weren't any red flags in my application, and also to get some feedback about my interview. She did end up meeting with me, and I remember her telling me that she could not convince the director of the medical school program to take a chance on me because I had already taken 3 MCAT attempts. And even though I was on my way to take a 4th MCAT attempt, he said, if she ain't got it by now, she just ain't gonna get it. I was so heartbroken when she told me that. I know that there are some schools that literally won't look at my 4th MCAT attempt, but I also knew that most of the schools were weeding me out because of the score of my current MCAT attempts. So it felt like such a lose-lose situation. Like I can't do anything. I feel so stuck. I already know that the MCAT is the gatekeeper into medical school, and I'm trying to fix it, but I just need somebody to give me a chance and to look beyond it. But like nobody would give me a chance. What made this worse was that I had this conversation with her weeks before I took my MCAT exam. I kind of started to get comfortable with the idea of I'll take this 4th MCAT attempt, but it may not actually matter because I may be going to a program where I don't need a better MCAT score than what I already have. Unfortunately, when that fell through, I had to get back to studying and prepare to take my 4th MCAT attempt. Hello again. It's Saturday, May 24th. Literally did not sleep last night. I know I drank too much caffeine studying Friday night. It was really difficult to sit down and take a practice exam today because I literally just took one the other day. I did not have the patience today. Like I didn't drink any caffeine, and my meals were not what I was gonna do. My outfit is not what I'm gonna do. Like I feel like this isn't, but this is the second to last one before my exam. So I am very nervous. I'm very anxious about the score, especially after getting a score that I was somewhat happy with. I don't know if I seemed like I was happy in the last clip. I think because one, I was tired because I just took the long test, and in my mind I was like, I feel like this is a really good score. Let's just go ahead and see what it is. Lord be with me. Okay. I was nervous for a second there because it said like NA for my results. So everything is kind of moving. I don't think this is the best I've done in Chem Phys, but it's like one of the better ones. Did not feel good about the Chem Phys section. I was hyperventilating afterwards, and I really had to reset myself. I finished cars with 10 minutes or something like that. Like I had 20 minutes for my last passage, and that's the first time that has ever happened. It felt very good. So knowing that I got a 126 makes me feel good. I feel like I've actually been taking a break from cars. I haven't been doing it every day, and maybe that's also helping because I'm kind of just like overthinking it. But we wanted it to go up, but at least it didn't go down too far. Like my numbers are still showing kind of a bit of improvement. I just definitely need to still focus on my Chem Phys and my biochem. It's 3:30 on Wednesday, May 28th, 3 days until my exam. I just finished my supposedly last full-length exam, and I feel like I haven't had that much anxiety for an exam since like the first time I sat down to take one. Like I had a full-on panic attack during multiple sections. Like during the Chem Phys section, I was like, it was a really hard Chem Phys section for me. I felt like there was a lot of orgo. I felt like none of the formulas that I had memorized and I've been working on, like even if I knew what formulas to use previously in practice passages, I was like, I know how I'm supposed to do this, but like somehow the math is not mathing and I'm not getting the right answer, or like an answer that's even on the answer choices, which is like so confusing. So I felt like none of the formulas helped. Did run out of time on all of my sections. I guess except for psych soc, I literally had like 3 minutes left. And that's just because the last passage that I ended up doing ended up being pretty easy. And but I had like 15 minutes for 3 passages, and then I think 7 minutes for the last passage, but only ended up taking me 4 minutes. So yeah, biochem was harder than I thought it was going to be. Like when I went through and kind of marked them, I was like, all of this, like it looked like I would be able to get it, but then multiple of them I ended up switching over to being like, this is actually a hard passage. I felt like the psych soc section was really difficult. There were so many terms that I'm like, why, of all of the practice that I've done, of all the work that I've put in, why am I still taking practice exams and I don't know psych soc terms? Like I thought that I knew every psych soc term. I thought that I've been trying to cover my bases, and I'm like, and I also had a panic attack. So there were like times where I completely dissociated, and I had trouble like breathing, my heart was palpitating, like, and I mean, it's for like a lot of reasons. Like, yes, the test itself wasn't going well. Yes, this is like the last one, and like this score is gonna, you know, mean a lot. Even though it doesn't have to, it still does. I think just like the pressure of, I don't know, I think I've just been in a not great headspace. I don't really know about cars. And then once we got to biochem, and that also wasn't feeling great, I was like, I don't know. It just, my confidence is just shot, which is not good. Tomorrow is my last study day, so I need to at least take half of today, the rest of today, to review half of this exam. Normally takes me a full day, and I can't let my whole day just being reviewing this exam. I also need to do other practice passages or the last minute things that I need to do, because I need to take Friday completely off, and I'm feeling discouraged and burnt out and really sad and frustrated and disappointed and confused. And I literally was thinking while I was doing this psych soc section, like I literally have to get into therapy because I'm spiraling. And I have been like spiraling for the past 5 months, like just like slowly. And now I'm just like at full speed spiraling. At this point, there's nothing that I can do except for just take the exam and hope for the best and try and keep myself like as calm as possible. That way I could possibly, you know, do better. But it's like the reality is, and I'm just gonna keep my mouth positive and just keep my mouth shut. I don't know what else to do. Which is what I expected. I know it wasn't good. I was hoping that maybe it would be better, but I knew it wasn't good. I mean, this is the worst case scenario. Not only is it worse, like if I were to do this on Saturday, like it would look even worse on my medical school applications. Okay, I think I just finished reviewing my last MCAT practice exam. Is this it? Is this it? Y'all, I've been going through it the past couple of days, okay? I just reviewed yesterday. Like, I'm not ready to take another practice exam. I feel like I should study some of the things that I learned for my practice exam and then take it another day. And I was so tired. And when I was doing my review, I was like, I'm making a lot of like silly little mistakes, especially towards the end of the sections and the end of the exam. And I was like, it's because I'm tired, you know, taking the practice exams like this back to back to back at the end is like making me tired. So I take my last practice exam on Wednesday, one of my worst scores, and I've been crashing out ever since. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why is my score, what? I have not had a panic attack like that during an exam since like one of the first ones that I took. Okay, so it's a bit of a bittersweet study day because I'm happy that this is the last time I'll have to sit here and, you know, study this particular content like in this space and in this time. But I low-key wish I had more time so that way I could have a better score theoretically. Like, who knows? Tomorrow is the last day before the MCAT, kind of taking a bit of a me day. I will be staying at a hotel, that way I'm closer to my testing center and I can just walk there early in the morning. Tomorrow I'm just gonna like clean my apartment, do a deep clean, and then meal prep my breakfast, and then cook myself a good dinner, and then that will give me enough time to like go and check in at the hotel. I've had a lot of emotions. Like, I hope all this that I've been through, all the crying and the way that I've been feeling and everything, like, I hope that it was worth it. I hope this wasn't for nothing. And my mom was telling me, like, nothing is for nothing. Like, God could use everything. And I believe that, I do. But I want to receive the results that I want to receive in the way that I want to receive them, Like, God, let's not get creative with this gift package. I don't want it coming no type of way. A plus B equals C, okay? Let's keep the math simple. Please don't be trying to... Who am I to tell God how to bless me? Been there, tried that, been embarrassed. It's so strange because, y'all, this is my 4th time taking this exam, and I have never felt like this before an exam. Like, yeah, you feel nervous. Yeah, you don't feel ready, but like a full crash out. Like, I didn't have a crash out. I don't think any of the times. That last practice test showed me that if my mental is not there, then the education that I've also learned will also not be there, which is a really scary thing to kind of think about. I think tomorrow I really need to put in the work to make sure that I am pouring into myself, like affirmations and visualizations and stuff like that. That way I'm going in like confident and excited and happy and hopeful, instead of being like, I wish I had more time and I hope, I don't want to go in the middle of the spiral that I'm currently on. I'm trying to like unspiral and like set myself up for success. Bye. I'm not saying I'll never be here again. Like, maybe when I work on my application, I'll come back to this room. But this is it. This is my last time in this room studying for the MCAT. This is my last day studying for the MCAT. Of course, I have videos from that experience as well, specifically my MCAT test day vlog. Okay, so it is June 1st, 2025, which means I just took my 4th MCAT attempt yesterday. Obviously, don't have my exam scores back yet, so I have a mix of emotions on exactly how to feel. You just don't know how to feel because you don't have your score. So you don't know if you should be like happy or sad or scared or excited or, worried. And it's like, well, I don't want to have fear. I don't want to be worried. So I guess I'm happy, but like, I don't really know if I should be happy because I don't know my score, So I'm having like all these feelings. Part of me right now is I'm proud of myself for obeying God and doing what he told me to do, which is to retake the exam. And part of me is surprised in retrospect and reflection that although this was my 4th time taking the exam, it was just as hard as all the other times to study. It was just as hard of a season as I had anticipated it to be. And every time is different because throughout my journey to medicine, there's always something, different going on. I thought that I heard the Lord so clearly, was prepared to move. Assumed that we were talking about this program for Chicago. That wasn't something that I was excited about, but I was willing to go if that's where my acceptance was going to come from, and if that meant, being obedient to the Lord. So I had fully been preparing my mind, my heart, my body, my spirit, my finances. Like, I had been preparing to move to Chicago. And I just believed that if it was for me, that if that's where God wanted me, then that's where I would be. So I was really confused because I thought that's where he wanted me. The call didn't come. So I was extremely disappointed, as you can imagine. So strange about how I was thinking about it because everything was kind of a sure thing. Like, I'm sure if I apply, I'll get in. I'm sure if I get in, then being able to pass all the classes. And I'm sure if I pass all the classes, then I'll get an interview invitation for the medical school. And I'm sure if I'll get a medical school invitation, then I will get accepted into the medical school. And I'm sure if I get accepted into the medical school, then it'll really be possibly one of the only medical schools that I get into. One of the top choices for medical school, especially if I end up having to move out of state. It was very shocking to receive the news because I hadn't even considered really like what I would do if I didn't get accepted. And that's not a thing of like arrogance or pride. It was just a thing of like, I thought the hardest part was going to be my yes. I hadn't even considered being told no. And this is not the first post-bac program that I've been denied from. The no's are the most confusing though on this process. Like sometimes you'll get a yes and you'll be like, what, really? And then sometimes you'll get a no and it seems like that's the one that makes the sense. That's the one that clearly God would want you at, or clearly God has brought you to, or clearly God is pointing you towards, and it just, our ways are not his ways and our thoughts are not his thoughts. And so I reached out to the director who I interviewed with to ask for some feedback for my interview. She offers to connect me with people at their PA school and their podiatry school, as she recommended that I find another route of medicine other than medical school. She shared with me that the admissions director of the medical school, who she ultimately was advocating to on my behalf, declared that 3 MCATs was too many, wasn't a significant enough improvement in my score to warrant my attempts and prove that I would be able to handle the rigor of medical school. In his words, that she shared with me, it didn't matter what I got on my 4th MCAT attempt. Most medical schools wouldn't consider it. She relayed to me that it didn't matter if I got a 510, 515, or 520. A 4th MCAT attempt probably wasn't going to allow me to get into medical school. She recommended that I do another path. If you guys have been around here long enough, you know that that is like one of the things that upsets me the most, is when people recommend you can be a doctor of a PH, you can, do your PhD and still be Dr. Brelynn. And I'm like, you don't get it. And I refuse to continue to explain myself. I'll just say that's not what the Lord said. I've decided I'm not going to explain myself anymore. It was very disheartening and very frustrating to hear her try and give me an out and, speak life into me and encourage me when I was just like, Satan, get behind me. How disappointing and frustrating, because this is not obviously what I wanted to hear. I can't take anything that you're saying. This conversation is not going to edify me or build me up because it's against the word of God. I am going to be a physician. I am going to be a doctor. And that does not mean a podiatry doctor. There's nothing wrong with podiatrists. There's nothing wrong with PAs. There's nothing wrong with nurses. There's nothing wrong with midwives. There's nothing wrong with doctor of PHs. There's nothing wrong with PhDs. If you have heard something about your life from your creator, then you would probably want to do that thing and not these other things that he did not say. It's my experience and that's my truth. The conversation was a double whammy, because not only was I disappointed in not getting into this program, that also put more pressure on the MCAT, and I don't really have another option. You can imagine, and this was a week and a half before my exam. I had to do a lot of mental work to try and get those thoughts and those seeds that she planted to try and make sure that they didn't grow roots. I had to take my MCAT exam. Even now when I'm thinking about, wow, my MCAT is over, this has been my life for the past 5 months. I had the faith to start, and now I have the faith to wait. But I'm just wondering, what's the next instructions from God going to be? Because I thought I heard move, and I thought that meant the Chicago program. It may not mean that, so it means something else. I'm not sure what that means at this time. Patiently waiting to figure out what this next application cycle is going to look like, because what I had in my mind for the past couple of months has instantly been shattered. And when I tell you guys, I was seriously planning my life around this thing. And now to look up soberly and be like, the Chicago program isn't even happening? What are you talking about? So strange and so weird. And I didn't vlog in the moment when I was crying, which I'm like, that would have been great content so you guys could see me sad. But I didn't even have it to pick up the camera at the time. I'm being very careful about my words in this season. I just want to align my will with his will. And I think the best way for me to do that is for me to not have any expectations and just be like, okay, so what's next? Where are we going? Instead of being like, can we go this way? And he's like, no, we're going this way. And I'm like, no, why? You know, I'm like, maybe I should just, and you tell me where to go. This journey is long. We know this. The journey is hard. We know this. The success of this season will have to come from above me because I've done everything practically that I've known how to do and that's been in my power to do. I've studied for the exam. I gave it my honest college try. I tried my best. I took the test. I gave it to him. I would love to get it out the mud, get a great MCAT score after these months of studying, even though it was hard, but be like, you know, I found a breakthrough. I was able to get the score that I needed. Now I'm getting all these medical school interviews and I get accepted the traditional way. And I stopped believing that it could happen that way. And I started to put my belief in the Chicago program, which is probably why it didn't end up happening that way. I'm back to putting my trust and belief in God. It's really easy to get weary, but I'm just gonna try and take it day by day. Studying for the MCAT, being on lockdown, like not really having a life, not being able to work at the same time, not like all those things are definitely significantly harder than I believe what this next season is going to be. It may require more trust and faith because day by day I was able to have Kaplan tell me like what I need to do today in order for me to be successful. And so that's the current update. Like I said, I don't have a score yet. I don't know how I did, but I will say that it's been difficult to even get here because I just feel like I just got beat up, you know? Honestly, we just gonna have to come back later on when I actually have the score and feel the Lord being like, shh, right now, like just be quiet. So I'm like, okay, things are still in place for me for the rest of this year in theory. Again, it's going to look different, but there's at least a plan B and I don't have to worry. I'm still applying to things, even applying to like summer stuff because I have legit been out of work for what is going on a year and I'm just financially strained, which adds on to the weariness. And in the meantime, I rest. I promise the next video is going to be the last, so if you want to see the rest of my 8-year non-traditional pre-medicine journey, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Ring the bell that way you don't miss a notification from me. Follow me on my social media at Brelynn.hunt and live each day to the fullest because you only live once. I'll see you all in my next video. You're not going to want to miss this one. Bye!